you say to a person who has student loans, right? Michelle, I got like $50,000 in student loans. I was an RN. Should I still buy a home?
Me? You're asking me. I would say no. I would say that I need you to get those student loans down before you're ready to buy a home. I'm a big believer in trying to remove as much debt from your financial ledger as possible before you go into that home. Because oftentimes what happens is people will just make the minimum payments and then they'll get a home or something happens and they put the loan on deferral and then that loan grows. And so I would encourage you to spend the time moving in with folks, having people moving with you so that you can use that extra income to pay down that debt. Again, my mission is to get people in the home and get them to stay in the home, but not just stay in the home, but then build the cushion that creates real wealth. Because you can create wealth in your property, but you can't get that wealth out unless you take out another loan. And so I want to position you to be in that home and you can still save for retirement and you can still save for your emergency fund and your life happens fund, because life will happen. And when life happens, I don't want you to be in the position where you can't keep the home. And so what I tell people is to get rid of as much debt as possible. So I would tell that person to try to pay off that loan before they get a house.
No, great point, right? I think it's always more than one way to skin a cat. And I think, what I would recommend to a person is, get a very good look at, how you are as a person, as a borrower, as a spender, right? If you're a person who, is now getting into the trajectory, right? You went to law school, right? You got $80,000 in student loans, but you now know you're starting to get into your career where you're going to start being able to make more and more money, right? Your earning trajectory is only going up from here. I think that you have the ability, right? You don't have any other bad debt, right? I look at student loans as okay debt, right? Average 5.86% interest rate. That's not 20% credit card loans, right? To that point, I'm like, let's pay off that credit card before you starting to try to get a home. But I think to a person who's trying to better their lives and get a better career, paying 6% interest rate, I think you have the ability to get a home. And I would first try to look at an FHA in a sense of saying, you know what, let me find a way to generate income and actually live for free. Right. And I think if you start with that 3 flat, I got a couple friends of mine who started out doing pure FHA loans, fiancés right now, right? They both have 3 flats in pretty decent neighborhoods. And now they have the ability to come together when they get married, buy a home together. And now they have, they both have great jobs, but they also now have an income generating property that now when you look at it, you have, over, call it $700,000 in, actual asset value, right? That is cash flowing, right? And so to a person that has student loans, right, I think that us as Americans, we look and we see all the debt that we have and we're like, this is the end of the world, right? I don't want a person who, tried to better their life to continue to say, I'm not going to do that. Now, if you're a person who got $100,000 in student loans and you're not in the career of your choice and you're just, effectively living paycheck to paycheck, that might be something that's a risk, right? I think at the end of the day, one of the things we want to stress is making sure you have that cushion, right? I recommend everyone having 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. Now, when it comes to 3 to 6 months of emergency fund, meaning your necessary expenses being able to be covered by having this, because like you say, life can come at you very fast. And when that does come, you want to have that emergency fund as a cushion to actually just live life, right? But after that, you want to have even more, right? Another maybe 6 months if you have, if you're able to buy a home. So to a person buying student loans, to a person who's behind in debt because of student loans, I think there's a way to effectively get a crib, FHA loan, and actually live in one unit for a year, rent out 2 or 3 units where you're now having someone pay your entire mortgage. And you might actually have a little extra that you could put towards your student loans. That's how I would take a look at it. Michelle, maybe walk us through, the process of actually how to buy a home, right? How long is that process? What's it look like kind of from A to Z?
So you want to start by, I think, talking to a lender. You can get pre-qualified, which will look at all your income and debts. Then you want to get pre-approved, which is that next step where they've actually verified all the information. But even before that, I suggest if you're a first-time home buyer, again, to seek the help of a HUD-approved housing agency and sit down, and they can walk you through all the steps that it takes to improve your credit if that's an issue. They'll look at your cash flow, your income, how much house you can afford. Don't go shop. It's like when you're buying a car. The first thing you should not do is go to the dealer lot. Your research should start first before you ever put foot on a dealer's lot. By the time I go to a dealer's lot, I already know everything and I'm ready to buy. I buy cars with cash. So I would say, do your research. What neighborhood do you want to go into? How much cushion will you have after you buy this home? So you got to do some pre-steps to make sure that you're positioning yourself to be a strong homeowner.